WVTT is the news station that brings you news and information that you can depend on. We are first, fast, and accurate, bringing you the only local television news in the Twin Tiers. WVTT, depend on it.
Our first look at weather now on WVTT. Meteorologist Jim Rinaldi has the night off. Chief forecaster Rod Tanner filling in, and he's telling us a low temperature of 18 degrees tonight, light snow, and the possibility of some freezing rain as well, and that really could make things slick during the overnight hours.
That's right. It already looks like that slush that was here during the middays today, already frozen over, crunchy, and it looks like there could be that thin layer of ice. Be very, very careful when you're walking around driving, Jeff.
Definitely winter conditions out there during the overnight hours. We'll have complete weather details straight ahead here on WVTT.
Now, WVTT.
Global News Update.
And we continue to take a look at weather conditions. CNN's Ed Payne reports on the first major winter storm of the season in the east.
Airports are packed with people trying to get somewhere. More than 1,700 flights were canceled Wednesday, and today might not be much better with snow, freezing rain, and strong winds battering the northeast. And it's causing a domino effect across the country. A pilot on a flight sitting for hours in Dallas waiting to depart for Las Vegas told passengers this.
It's beyond reproach. I have no words to tell you how sorry I am for all of this.
Passengers in Atlanta are trying to keep their cool as they wait for word on their flights.
You can't change it, so you take it for what it is and make the best out of a bad situation.
The best thing is to think about the purpose of the trip so that you're not so upset.
Getting around on the ground isn't any easier. Motorists in Indianapolis had to deal with whiteout conditions. The Indiana Pacers postponed their game against the Chicago Bulls because of the severe weather in Indianapolis. The dangerous conditions in Carmel, north of Indianapolis, didn't stop this motorist from venturing out on the roads.
They're slick in spots. The marvelous overpasses in Carmel are a little icy.
The White Christmas in Little Rock, Arkansas was a record breaker. The 9 inches of snow that fell on Christmas Day broke an 86-year-old record. I'm Ed Payne reporting.
A newspaper in a New York City suburb published a map of 2 counties showing who has gun permits. Some people say it's irresponsible journalism, while others say it's clever and helpful. Brian Todd has our story.
It's a local suburban newspaper outside New York City with a large circulation. Its editors say the Newtown, Connecticut shootings and the issue of gun control are foremost in the minds of their readers. So the Journal News did something extraordinary, publishing on an interactive map information on where all handgun permit owners in the New York counties of Westchester and Rockland live.
On the Journal News website, all you have to do is zoom into a neighborhood, and the locations of any gun permit holders will show up with red dots. Tap one of those dots, and the name and the address of the permit holder pop up.
The newspaper got that data by filing Freedom of Information requests with clerks of those counties. The exact types of handguns in those homes is not on the maps. The maps don't indicate whether the residents actually own guns, just that they're legally able to. And homes with shotguns or rifles are not included because in those counties, those can be bought without permits. But the move has brought serious backlash against the Journal News. Larry Pratt of the Gun Owners of America voiced the same complaint made by some readers.
I think it was a very irresponsible thing for the newspaper to do. They were telling burglars, go to the house next door. They're not likely to have a gun because they don't have a permit, which is required to buy a handgun in New York State.
Or, he says, thieves who want to steal guns will know where to get them. At this gun store in Virginia, which the manager didn't want identified, I spoke to a gun owner.
Would you be less likely to buy a handgun or any kind of weapon knowing your name and address could be published?
No.
Why not?
If it's a matter of public record, anybody could find out anyway.
The newspaper also has considerable support for the maps. In a tweet to CNN, a resident of Westchester County said, "Parents have right to know." Another tweet, "Please thank them for me. This could be a turning point. I do not want my daughter playing in a house with guns." Privacy advocate Mark Rotenberg says this.
Well, for the news organization, I think it's a very clever use of public information. Certainly provides something that people are interested in knowing. But for gun owners, of course, it raises a concern because information that they thought would be kept private has now been made public.
Some analysts say the PC is slowly fading out of popularity, being replaced by tablets and smartphones. The death of the PC? Well, don't be too sure about it. Maggie Lake tells us what PC makers are doing to win back their customers.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
In 2012, the PC went from being the butt of jokes.
I'm into doing fun stuff like movies, music, podcasts, stuff like that.
I also do fun stuff like timesheets and spreadsheets and pie charts.
To suffering the ultimate indignity, being left for dead by Wall Street Bible barons. The death knell may not have sounded for the PC just yet, but consider this. PC shipments dropped more than 8% in the third quarter of 2012 and are forecast to be down for the full year for the first time in more than a decade, as consumers opt for the mobility of tablets and smartphones.
We do know one thing and one thing only, and that is that they are absolutely addicted to taking their computers and taking their TVs with them. If you're an investor, that's all you need to think about.
Mobile is clearly the future, but many of the tech titans of yesteryear who did not get the memo have stumbled badly in 2012. Shares of chip giant Intel fell more than 14% in 2012 amid criticism that the company misjudged the growth of smartphones and tablets. Longtime CEO Paul Otellini is on his way out.
It's interesting, the market really taken by surprise.
HP's attempt to diversify from slow-growth hardware took a disastrous turn. The company announced a massive charge related to its purchase of software company Autonomy. Its shares are trading at 10-year lows.
Dell!
And once mighty Dell,
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
its shares are down over 25% year-to-date. Even Microsoft, whose recently updated Windows software and flashy new tablet are getting high marks, found itself on the defensive. Steve, I mean, what is your response to is the PC dead?
I'd say the PC's never been dead. It never will die. It rebirths, it reimagines, it moves on.
Sounds good, but even rookie investors have their eyes elsewhere.
Your biggest holding was Apple. Why did you pick Apple?
Apple has great products like the iPhone and iPad.
Leave it to grade schoolers to keep it real. For many, the PC wow factor is gone for good.
Unless you've dropped it or hurt it or done something nasty to it or the hard drive is about to die, there's no reason to replace it. This is the definition of a mature market.
On the flip side, replacement of product is what Apple is all about.
Analysts are predicting that Apple may sell 50 million iPhone 5s by the end of the year.
This is the iPad lineup.
In 2012 alone, they've released 3 new versions of the iPad, all of which have been eagerly gobbled up by consumers. And despite recent knocks against the stock, shares of Apple are up almost 30% this year. Online retailing giant Amazon,
It's called Kindle Fire.
which battles it out in the tablet market with the Kindle Fire, is another 2012 success story. Its shares are up over 50% as CEO Jeff Bezos seemingly goes from strength to strength.
I honestly think Jeff Bezos has a whiteboard in his office with a PERT chart that shows the end of every business that he's chosen to compete with. I think he's got Walmart on there. I mean, I think he wants to be the one-stop, supplier of everything to everybody.
And speaking of world domination, Google is also on a tear. Chairman Eric Schmidt brags that consumers are activating more than 1.3 million smartphone devices using Google Android software a day.
Mac, if I don't come back, I want you to have my peripherals.
To get off their sickbed in 2013, PC titans will finally need to crack the mobile code and release products that resonate with on-the-go consumers. Maggie Lake, CNN, New York.
How did Wall Street do? Let's take a look. It was a down day. The WVTT Wall Street Wrap-Up is brought to you by News Radio 96.7 WVTT. The Dow down 18 points to close at 13,096. NASDAQ down a little over 4 points, closing at 2986. And the S&P 500 down just a little as well, closing at 1418 on fiscal cliff fears. Still to come on Twin Tiers Evening News, WVTT Sports, and also our complete weather forecast. It's next here on News Channel 25 WVTT.